Well, there's a lot. Like you said, they do a tremendous job running the football. I mean, it starts up front. Probably biggest offensive line I think we're going to see this year. I think they're physical up front. They do a good job within the type of scheme that they're running. They got 3 quality tailbacks, all run hard and do a good job finding the open seam and do a good job breaking tackles. Again, that quarterback adds another dimension. I think that's something that it's kind of added another threat to their offense. You've got a guy back there that can run the offense and does an excellent job throwing the ball. When things break down, he can hurt you with his feet. So it'll be a big challenge for us here this week. We've got to get as many guys. And the thing we've got to do is we've got to be able to maintain the line of scrimmage, control the line of scrimmage. We've got to be gap sound, and we've got to get our safeties involved in the run game. Yeah, and again, it still comes down to win the one-on-one battles right there. You're hoping you put them in an alignment that they're going to have an advantage here from a leverage standpoint. Whether you're, again, playing a 3 technique where you're outside shade on the guard, you've got to be able to control that B gap. If you're 6 technique over the tight end, you got to be able to control the C gap, so on and so forth. But again, they do a great job with their line. They do a lot of gap blocking, and again, we got to do a good job with their fits, recognizing the run, do a good job with their fits, and like I said earlier, we've got to be able to get our safeties involved in the run game. Yeah, again, we've got to be able to do things that our kids can execute. There were a couple of times in the game this past week where we had pressures that were called, and we didn't get the correct guy running the pressure, or whether it's the line angle in a particular way, they've got to carry out their movement. At times, some of those guys would start their movement, and then they would stop instead of continue on to cancel that gap. So those are some of the things. What was frustrating is some of those pressures we called were same pressures we put in day one. So again, that's where it's frustrating. And we put a blitz in the first day of spring practice, and again the first day of 2-a-days, and we come back, and in my opinion, what's a simple call, kids have run it 100 times. We don't carry it out and we don't execute it like we need to. So, the thing we've got to continue to build on is just consistency. Playing your responsibility each and every play. Yeah, I think we're getting a pretty good feel for what we can do and what we can't do. The thing we've got to be able to do as a coach and staff is, number one, you always got to put your kids in position to be successful. If you can get them at the point of attack, now it's their job to make the play. Sometimes, you may get into a mismatch where maybe athletically we don't match up or physically we don't match up. That's what you try to stay away from. But, I think as a staff, I think we've got a pretty good feel for what we can do and what our kids are able to execute. Again, we've got to continue to develop. We're not where we want to be right now, but I think we've got a pretty good overall feel for what we can do. Mm-hmm. They're running the football on us pretty effectively. You're going to have to. It'll be the same thing this week. You've got to be able to stop the run in this conference, and it's the same way in any other conference. You're going to put those corners in one-on-one situations. Those kids got to step up and respond. There may be scenarios. We look at Penn State. We get a long touchdown pass. We had that kid in double coverage. So again, you still got to execute. So we put 3 guys on that guy, and he still may go up and over us and make a play. But he's a tremendous receiver. Again, had a great game against us. It's 2 weeks in a row for him. Busted coverage. We blitz. Again, that's a day one blitz that we put in that we never switch it off. And young man just came out of coverage and blitzed, and we left him uncovered. And again, it still comes down. We're in a man-free concept where you still got a middle safety back there. If you can tackle and you can make plays in space, we could have held it to a minimum, could have held it to a 15-yard gain if we could have made the play in space and gotten them down. We lined up and play the next play and force them to execute the full drive and full length of the field. But we bust the coverage, middle safety comes over, misses the tackle, and right now we couldn't catch him. But again, there are going to be times where our guys got to play some one-on-one. Even if you're playing a zone concept, it's still, a lot of times if you're in a zone concept, it's still going to come down to a one-on-one situation. They're going to force you into one-on-one situations. So our kids have got to be able to win at the end of the route.